Free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking and stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the...
Hail to the culture, a Washington Redskins podcast. Bryce and Rome here. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
As always, this podcast is brought to you by GoodAssSports. If you don't know about GoodAssSports, we are gas sports for the culture. Shoot over to the website, GoodAssSports.com. Rome, how you feeling today, bro?
Feeling great, man. How about yourself?
I can't complain at all, man. I can't complain at all. Another day, and a good day, because our Redskins are number one in the division.
Yes. It's a great day whenever we're number one.
Yeah, man. We haven't been able to say that too many times throughout these last 15 years, but it definitely feels good. So, as always, we will open up with our State of the Franchise segment, in which we discuss the most recent news and the most recent dealings of our team. So, with the bye week, it's not too much to talk about. We've got a couple things still, though. As has been reported, a couple of our players have gone down with injuries. It might just be the perfect time for them to have it with this Week 4 bye. What do you think about Trent Williams and his knee scope that he's got? What do you expect from him?
Well, I was listening to Jay Gruden's press conference yesterday, and the Redskins had a small little practice on Monday, and from what he was saying, it sounds like Trent probably won't practice Wednesday. It might be a little limited Thursday and Friday, but we all know Big Trent. As long as he's good to go come Monday, that's all that really matters. He'll be good on game day.
Man, Trent is just ridiculous, man. I'm telling you, man, it's like that dude could break his leg and he would still play, man. Like, honestly.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, if we could just have 11 Trent Williams, we'd be pretty well off.
Just imagine if he was 100% healthy too, because the way he plays with all these nicks and little injuries here and there, if that man was 100% healthy.
Yeah, man. Who knows what we would see? Who knows, man? Honestly, I'm surprised. Like, I remember when that top 100 came out. I'm like, man, Trent Williams needs to be top 25 on this list every year. It's kind of ridiculous that he's not. But shout out to the boy Trent, man. So with the bye week, obviously we haven't had any. We didn't have a game, but we've had a pretty decent sample size now, 3-game sample size to look at, and to pull some sort of reaction from our skins. What were you thinking after the Packers win? Obviously, it was a tough fought game. We went against Aaron Rodgers. What was your reactions coming from that game?
I mean, I was feeling good after that game, like most Skins fans. I mean, I wasn't too high on it. You know, Rodgers was kind of out there on one leg, and the Packers did drop a couple passes that could have changed the momentum. But I was very impressed with the offense. I like how they responded after that big touchdown pass with the coverage breakdown. But yeah, after that, man, they came back out there and scored another touchdown. I think it was a 98-yard drive. So I was really impressed with the offense in that game. And the defense was pretty nice too, man. The front seven, the Ioannidis and Payne and all them dudes, man, they was really getting after Rodgers. It was great to see.
Man, it really was, man. It really was. Whenever you can create that type of interior pass rush, man, it's something to feel good about, especially considering we haven't had that over these last. I don't know, man. I don't even want to put a year number on this, but it's been some years since we've had some dominant interior linemen, and it's good to see. It's good to see from those Alabama boys and Temple Tough, Matt Ioannidis. It's definitely good to see. So hopefully they'll be able to keep it going, and I anticipate they will, man. One thing I was a little concerned with that I got to bring up is it's kind of seemed like we've been the tale of two teams, and in that I mean that in that first half we coming out strong. We're getting out the big lead, at least in both of our wins. Then that second half I'm seeing a little bit of a conservative approach from the coaching staff, and maybe it's rubbing off on the players. What do you think about that? Do you think that's just been a product of what's been going on in the games, or have you been seeing a little bit of conservativeness going into those second halves?
Well, I was going to bring that up too, because that is a little bit of a concern. It's tough to say because during the Packers game, the Packers came back out at the half and had a pretty long drive. I want to say it was like 7 or 8 minutes. So that kind of changes your play calling. It kind of changes. Obviously, that's half of a quarter damn near, so you're not going to have the ball that much in that quarter alone. But, I mean, there's different factors that weigh into it. I'll say this. I will take it just because it's a win, and a win is a win. But moving forward, I would like to see them score some points in the second half. I want to say we have like 9 total points in the second half right now.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. And that's obviously that 9 that's not a touchdown figure in there. So we definitely got to change that, man. I think it's something they'll work on, and with a concerted effort, I think it's something that should change. We just need Jay to keep his foot on the gas, something that I've criticized him for in the past. But I think this is time to really, if he wants to make this happen on Monday night with the Saints.
With this Monday night game coming up, and with what happened last season and the whole second half, fourth quarter debacle against the Saints, I would be very surprised if on Monday Night Football Jay Gruden doesn't keep his foot on the gas in the second half. I would be very surprised.
Yeah, you and me both, man. So, couple more state of the franchise news, man. Have you seen the former Redskins? I'm not going to say begging, but requesting to get back on the team, and Chris Baker and Junior Gillette. What do you make of that, man? If you had to pick one, which one of those guys would you welcome back?
Well, I do want to say this about Chris Baker. He's one of my favorite Redskins, man. I love that dude. The thing with him, though, is it just doesn't fit. I mean, we mentioned Ioannidis and the Alabama boys earlier. I mean, where exactly does he fit in this rotation? We got Stacey McGee on the PUP list. He's going to come back in at some point. Ziggy Hood, he's a good rotational piece. It just doesn't really make sense for Baker. Now, Gillette, once we get into our studs and duds here in a little bit, you could really fans might understand why there might be a case for Gillette. I've seen a lot of people talking about it on Twitter, and I was kind of off on it at first, but I mean, I could see the need for a speed rusher. What about you?
Yeah, man. If I had to pick one, I'd definitely go with Gillette. Like you, man, I got a spot in my heart for Swaggy, man. He definitely was that little bit of an interior push when we didn't have anything at all. He provided a little bit of it. So I got a spot in my heart for Swaggy. But
yeah, he's the reason we can't say we haven't had that interior push for a long time, because he was providing it for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to give him some credit for that. But if I had to pick one, it'd definitely be Gillette. I mean, the guy's got a Redskins tattoo, man. Let this guy back on the team. God, man, we can get that type of dedication from everybody. Who knows where we'd be? But I do like Junior Gillette. I like the speed he brings around the edge. I like his ability to bend the edge, which is, to me, that's a really rare skill to have. It's tough now. Because we've already, we're 2-1 without him, and it makes it even tougher because he turned down the contract, and now he's asking to play for the veteran minimum. And I just kind of feel bad for the guy. I would like to see Gillette on the team, but at the end of the day, man, business is business. And when we're rolling the way we're rolling right now, you don't necessarily got to bring anybody. You definitely don't want to bring anybody like those personalities who could perhaps shake up the water, because both of those guys have big personalities.
Well, if I'm Junior Gillette, I'm staying healthy. I'm keeping an eye on the injuries, because it's a long season. We just had this early bye week. We got a 13-game stretch, so there could be. I wouldn't be too shocked to see Gillette in a Redskin jersey at some point this season.
Yeah, same here, and I would actually be happy to see it. So you mentioned our studs and duds segment a little earlier. I think it's time to get into that, man. Let's go ahead and break it down, man. Through 3 weeks, through 3 games, 4 weeks now. Who would you say your stud so far? Who's your first stud you would say to start the season?
All right, well, for my first stud, I'm going to go with Alex Smith. Now, when the Redskins first traded for Alex Smith, I was in the middle of planning for my wedding. I was on the phone with the wedding planner, who's also a Redskin fan, and I saw her go across the ticker, Redskins trade for Alex Smith. And immediately I burst out with joy, screaming, jumping, we just traded for Alex Smith. She did not share in my excitement, as many Redskins fans did not. But I was reading one of your articles with the takeaways from one of the games, and you mentioned how Alex Smith is who we thought he was, and to me that makes him the stud. That is what we needed. He's a winner. He's a game manager, and he keeps us in every game. and that to me makes him the stud.
Yeah, man, I'd have to agree with you, man. Alex has brought that calming presence that I'm not going to say Kirk lacked, but because of his situation with the contract, he was unable to really give us. And you got to love what Alex has shown so far. Now, to kind of piggyback off of your stud, to go with my first stud, when we traded for Alex Smith, as Redskins fans are well aware of, we got rid of one of our developed guys, a guy we had developed ourselves, and Kendall Fuller, cornerback Kendall Fuller. And, man, I remember the reaction from most Redskins fans because I remember the Kendall Fuller portion of the trade came out last. At first, it just seemed that it was just for picks. And they were like an unnamed player. And I remember just being on the edge of my seat, like, who is this unnamed player? When it came back, it was Kendall Fuller. I was hurt. But I will say that Quentin Dunbar, who was my first stud, has completely negated that hurt for me. Like, I mean, I was so hurt when Kendall left, and now I'm watching Quentin Dunbar ball out. I'm just like, it makes sense.
Yeah, I was with you, man. I was hurt when Kendall left.
Yeah,
but it does
make
a lot of sense.
Yeah, and especially the way that Dunbar is. I mean, to me, he's been our best corner thus far, and he's locked up that outside. I mean, he's got a pick. I mean, the guy's making plays all over the place. And when you talk about someone that came out of Florida as a receiver, you got to give props to the Redskins for their player development when it comes to him. And that's not something they usually get props for. But with Quentin Dunbar, they've got to get it because that dude has certainly developed.
Yes, he has. All right, for my second stud, I'm gonna go with the old timer, man, Adrian Peterson. So a couple weeks ago, or before the season started, really, probably about a month ago now, I wrote something on the website. That's GoodAssSportsblog.com. I wrote a little piece about, can Adrian Peterson be all day? And I honestly believe he's answered that question with a resounding yes. Before week 4 started, he was a top 5 running back in the league. Now, the Redskins were off this past week, and he's still a top 10 running back in this league statistically. Now, to me, that's outstanding at 33. There were a lot of guys in the national media questioning, telling them to hang it up. The whole, does he have anything left in the tank? Obviously, he has a lot left in the tank. He's making this offense go. And I think he's going to have a big game Monday night, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, especially going against his own squad, considering the way that fizzled out, man. AP seems like the type to hold a grudge, so I can see him exploding. I can see him exploding on Monday night. We'll see, man.
He did say in the Washington Post that he doesn't have any enemies down there, and he made some lifelong friends. But he strikes me as the nice guy, like when you talk to him. But then he gets on that field, and it's not going to be so nice, you know.
Yeah, I can guarantee that AP. He's chomping at the bit to get out there against his old team. I can guarantee that. And I'm excited to see how he comes out. I'm actually going to I'm going to stick with that side of the ball for my final stud, and I'm going to give some love to the O-line, man. Shout out to my boy Chase Roulier. Chase, man, this guy, we might really have one with Chase. Obviously, he was brought in to be the center. And I remember when we had Kirk last season, how highly Kirk would speak of him. And one thing that I will say about Kirk is he was always good at evaluating talent. He always knew who was good on his own team. And every time he would speak about Roulier, he would speak so highly. I'm like, let me watch this guy a little closer. And, I mean, this guy, he's been a stud. He's been a stud. Last game, I should say, you know, with the injury to Laval, we had to kick him out to the right guard position. But, man, Roulier didn't miss a beat. You would think that right guard was his natural spot. And, honestly, I like him more at the right guard spot than I like Laval there with our O-line. Now, Tony Bergstrom may be a slight drop-off from Roulier at center. But at the end of the day, man, right guard is a way more important spot blocking-wise than center is. Now, center is important to make the calls and stuff like that. But from a pure blocking standpoint, you got to have that right guard to be able to, carve out some.
Yeah.
Left guard.
Roulier was at left.
Yeah, excuse me.
But
you gotta have that.
I gotta agree with you though, because I think the line performed better in week 3 with against the Packers with Roulier at left guard and Bergstrom at center than they did in week 2 with Laval. Now I know Laval ended up going down with an injury. I'm not sure when that injury occurred, but if you look back at that Colts game, he looked like he was playing hurt that game. So I definitely agree with you, man. Roulier has looked outstanding, and I would keep him at guard.
Yeah, I think I agree, man. Just the athleticism he brings. Don't get me wrong, I like Laval, but he's a little slow-footed, man, and Roulier just brings that young spunk to that position. I think even Jay Gruden mentioned that's something they're going to consider going forward, going Bergstrom at center with Roulier at left guard. So it'll be something interesting to keep an eye on. So let's get to duds, man. Rome, who you got for your first dud?
All right, man. So this one, so for my first dud, it pains me a little bit to give this guy a dud because he's one of my favorites on the team. And anyone who follows me on Twitter, you might have seen me hyping this man up all summer long. I'm going to have to give my first dud to Ryan Kerrigan, man. I mean, the guy through the first 3 games has 1 tackle, 1 statistical tackle, no sacks. So, over the summer I was saying, Ryan Kerrigan, he needs to be put in this national media. He needs to be talked about like he's Von Miller, Khalil Mack, because if you look at his numbers over the years, they're right there with those guys. He's like a tick under them. But he's let me down big time so far this year, man. Like I was big mad when he wasn't on the top 100. Couldn't believe it. But after these first couple games, I kind of see why the players didn't vote him on.
Yeah, man. I definitely would have to agree with everything you said, man. One thing I will say is and this is for his whole career, man. I don't even think the refs see Kerrigan when he gets held. This dude gets held so, and even this season, I think he's maybe drawn 2 holding calls, but bruh, this dude gets held dang near every play, man. Kerrigan's being held.
It's like typical to see somebody holding him. It's typical. I don't even. The refs never call it on Kerrigan, But I would like to see him get home a couple times, though. He's got 1 tackle in 3 games. That's not Ryan Kerrigan not the Ryan Kerrigan that I'm used to, or that any Skins fans are used to. I don't think.
Absolutely not, man. I got faith that if anybody can turn around, is Ryan. But we'll see what we get from the Heartbreak Kid going forward, man. So sticking on that side of the ball with my next dud, I'm going with the opposite side of Kerrigan. I'm going with Preston, man. Preston Smith, to me may be a bigger dud than Kerrigan, and that may be because my expectations for Preston were so high going into this season. And I do feel that Kerrigan is still going to come around. He's still setting a hard edge. He's still getting holding calls. But Preston Smith, man, Preston, where are you? In a contract year, I expected double-digit sacks from Preston Smith. And I know he's hit 8 twice in his career, and I just felt like this is the season where my boy hits 10 sacks. And it just hasn't happened. Now, he's got 11 tackles, so, that's decent. But, I mean, we need more. We need more from Preston, especially in the contract season, especially if he's planning on getting paid the big bucks. I mean, Preston, this is for your career. And I don't get me wrong. Like Ryan, I've got faith that Preston will come around too, especially with the interior defensive line doing what they're doing. But through 3 games, it just hasn't been there. So I'd have to give Preston Smith my dud.
So Preston Smith has had a few more tackles than Kerrigan. He's at about 8 for the season. But they got to start registering some sacks for it to really count out here.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that.
And for my last dud, I'm gonna go with my man Josh Doxson, man. Any of you guys that have been following us at Gas Sports or been checking out the website, you would have seen that I've written a few articles about Mr. Doxson. Disappointed is the word I'm going to go with. I'm not trying to bury the guy, and I still have, the slightest little bit of faith that he can turn around and be a big-time target for this team. But, I mean, he's got, 5 catches this season in 3 games, under 100 yards. Nothing he's done has been impressive this season. Nothing. The last game, the Packers game, the most impressive win that they've had, he had 3 targets, didn't catch any of them. He did draw 2 pass interference calls, but is that really what we're looking for out of a